I'm late. Again, no, it's not what you think. It's actually more universal of an issue. I'm feeling the crushing weight of being behind, and I'll bet some of you might be feeling this way too. It's 1 week before Christmas, 2 weeks before the new year. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? That's a lot of pressure to put on a 24-hour period. And sadly, we know that wonderful just doesn't describe what many of us are experiencing every year at this time, especially after this year that we've had. Of course, there is the usual hustle and bustle and responsibilities of the season. I haven't finished my Christmas shopping yet, like over half the country. Maybe you haven't sent out Christmas cards, or maybe you haven't had the time, money, or even the energy to decorate. Maybe you think, why bother? It's late in the season, and with all the travel restrictions and bad weather on top of quarantine, nobody is going to enjoy it with me anyways. And why put up any lights? Now knowing that you won't have as long to enjoy them as you would have if you were on schedule. We can all get caught up in this trap of, I'm late, so why bother, can't we? For many of us, we spiral much further down the I'm late slide. We are coming to the end of the year and we are looking at our lives and asking, is this really it? What do I have to show for another year? What about the book I said I would read? That relationship I was supposed to cultivate? That business I had been dreaming of starting? That child that I couldn't have? That job I thought was my ticket to a better life that I lost? That weight that I gained instead of losing? Whatever the situation, we feel like we are another year behind. We see ourselves and we see where we want to be. And like a moth to the flame that kills us, we seem to be drawn to those people on social media that seem to have reached the goals we wanted for ourselves in a shorter period of time. We become disillusioned and again we say, why bother? I really struggled with posting this last video to my channel. Actually, I haven't posted the last 2 weeks of videos that I have already written the scripts for. And they're about Christmas. If I don't use them now, they won't be valid again until next Christmas. But I've still got pumpkins on my buffet left over from Thanksgiving. I'm so off schedule. As I look at the still unopened nativity scene for my buffet, I'm reminded of the story of Christmas. Now, don't check out on me if you are not a person who believes in this, because even if you do believe it's a book of fables, there's a possibility that I want you to see. It's one that I never personally heard anywhere before, and when it came to my mind last night, I felt a little bit of the weight lift from my shoulders. Every nativity has Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, obviously. Then you see the shepherds and a few animals, but then you see the wise men. Now, it's pretty well known in Christian circles that the wise men's presence at the nativity scene is actually inaccurate. Many cultures celebrate something called Three Kings Day or Epiphany on January 6th, 12 days after Christmas, which is another misnomer because they weren't actually kings. And Jesus wasn't born on December 25th either, but bear with me. According to the accounts, the wise men didn't show up at the manger scene. They came not 12 days later, but at least 2 years later. You think that a lowly carpenter whose firstborn son was born in an animal stall could use a little gold, right? By the time that these wise men show up, Jesus is now in a house with his parents. Imagine showing up to a baby shower 2 years late. It's a good thing that gold, frankincense, and myrrh don't become obsolete like bibs, bottles, and diapers. Now, I've heard about the gifts having spiritual and prophetic meanings to do with Jesus' life and death, but those gifts, I am now certain, had a much more practical use. Right after the Magi leave, the late birthday party, the family goes to bed, but Joseph is told in a dream to get up and immediately flee with his family to Egypt, like tonight. You see, the wise men from a different country, and apparently not knowing the nature of the king, had inadvertently told King Herod that a king of the Jews was born. We have historical accounts that this King Herod was a ruthless and paranoid leader, and that he even had 3 of his sons, his uncles, his mother-in-law, and even his favorite wife killed, among countless others. It's documented that even Caesar himself said that he would rather be one of Herod's pigs than one of his sons. How do you think Herod felt about anyone else being king? The book of Matthew gives the account that Herod had told these wise men to return to him with the location of this child so that he too could come and worship him. Thankfully, the wise men were warned by an angel not to return to this wicked King Herod. When the king realizes that the wise men left another way and did not follow his orders, he commanded all male children in Bethlehem and the surrounding area, ages 2 and under, to be executed. Joseph was a carpenter, not a wealthy man. He had to immediately leave his home and business and livelihood in order to save his son's life. Well, it turns out that those late to the party wise men showed up with their gifts when they were needed the most. How do you think Joseph was able to care for his family during the transition of moving to a different country? The gifts. I'm not sure why I've never heard this before, but it makes logical, practical sense. So, it may not be the ideal time to post a video about decluttering Christmas gear the week before Christmas, but I'm gonna post it anyways. And just so you know, if you haven't gotten your decorating done yet, I have a valid excuse for you to keep your decorations up a little longer into January at the end of the decluttering before Christmas video. All of this to say, you are not behind in life. Whether you tell yourself that or someone else has made you to feel that way. Take that pressure off of you and just start a new day. If you happen to be struggling on a deeper level at this time for any reason, please reach out to someone to get help. Christmas is hard for many of us. We all need help sometimes, and there is no shame in giving that gift of help to yourself. Merry Christmas. Now, go watch my ill-timed decluttering video.